You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take. How your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. First timer on Ron Siegel Radio. John Thompson is with us, Simple Mortgage. He's a liability advisor. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money. I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's National Hemp Day. Okay, I don't know enough about that stuff. I do know if you've been a listener of Ron Siegel Radio, do know I have a friend at CBD 101. Makes a great roll-on for a CBD roll-on. And it cured my, I don't know that, it stopped my pain from my plantar fasciitis. Just used it a few times and pain's gone. So what is it with it? I have no idea, but I don't know how a thermos works either, so it doesn't matter. It worked. Bottom line. National Homemade Soup Day. Now, okay, I'm going to go with it because I like soup. And it's, when I came into the studio this morning, it was 52 degrees. Now, if I was out where Josh is in Vegas or where John is in the Coachella Valley, I'd have to go to one of my favorite restaurants, Sherman's Deli. They make a cold beet soup, borscht. Love it. And I know it sounds kind of odd, and I'm odd, but homemade soup day. Okay, well, I guess I better stop drooling and get back to work. Let's see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, right now it's up 88 points. The S&P 500 is up 40. The NASDAQ, wow, that one is up. NASDAQ's up 233 points. Yeah, that's enough, guys. We don't have to get carried away there. Oil down 35 cents a barrel. Doesn't matter because most of us, sorry, Josh, we're in California. Josh is in America. He's paying with $3.15, $3.20 a gallon of gasoline out there, Josh. Okay. And we're here. $4.48 is the average for a gallon of gasoline in California. I think I paid $4.15 over the weekend at Costco. And I think the last time I looked, there was only one state in the union that's higher than us. That would be the oil-producing state of Hawaii. Oh, wait, they don't produce oil in Hawaii. But, I guess it's cheaper. Well, we got taxes. We got Newsom. Now, I did see that Newsom finally signed an executive order, and it's going to kind of tie into our subject today. He signed an executive order yesterday to allow water in the state of California. Now, isn't that one a surprise? It's amazing that we're going to get water.
Surprise.
Yeah, maybe it'll help with fires, just possibly. Now, if we can start doing some forest management, we might have this beat. Maybe we could send Newsom, instead of going to China to collect his next royalty checks, my opinion, of course, Maybe we'll send him over to Finland because they've got more trees and more forests than we do, but they don't have fires. Maybe we could learn what they're doing and copy. I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? You just watch what's going on. Speaking of copy, have you watched the media going crazy? It's just, I love watching the media, and I can say this because I'm part of it, but they're all going crazy over tariffs. Now, if you look at what happened, now I was on a call early this morning. They say, well, the economy's different this time. Now, if you're as old as I am, maybe older, you remember, how many times have you heard somebody say, well, it's different this time? Everything's different this time, right? We've got the stock market is up, and we had a bubble in 2000. That was the dot-com bubble. And everyone's, oh, it's different this time. Companies don't need to make money. All they need to do is their stock price goes up. It's different this time. Yeah, well, we had the dot-com bubble. And then we had the mortgage meltdown of 2007. Prices going up because prices going up. And people say, what's this different this time? And the market crashed. Well, we watched what Trump did under his prior administration, put tariffs on. And when he put the tariffs on, they said, it's inflationary. Our inflation's going to go crazy. Well, maybe we can get down to the same crazy inflation at 1.9% that we had during his prior administration. Yet the people are going nuts over tariffs right now. I don't get it. Now, over the weekend, the president puts on tariffs. And again, whether you like them or not, I don't care. That's your choice. If I cared, I wouldn't be saying some of the things I say living in California, where if you believe our elections, then you know that most people are not Trump fans. But think about this. All of a sudden, with tariffs, Colombia gives in to what our desires are. Venezuela gives in to our desires. Mexico, Canada, and China didn't, but I guess we're going to have a tariff on Calvin Klein jeans now. So if you want to get your Calvin Klein jeans, they might cost an extra 15%. Do tariffs work? Well, apparently they seem to be working. I think that just the thought of it, look at how quick Marco Rubio got his problem solved in Panama. So he could go on to the next problem. Oh yeah, that's US aid. And you see all these people that are all up and tight because we're not going to keep giving money to, what was it? I forgot what the country was. It was getting $50,000 for a trans play. Is that where you want your tax money going? No, we don't give enough taxes. I mean, we're in California. We get taxed on our taxes. And if that's not enough, they'll tax those taxes again. But the bottom line here is maybe, what was it? $50,000 or $50 million going to Hamas, of all things, for condoms. Now, I know that there's some places that say that was disputed, but Bibi Netanyahu said that they were using it to make IEDs. So who do you want to believe, the internet or Netanyahu? Your choice. There's a lot going on in this world. We're going to continue our conversations on it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We're going to do some things that are a little different today. We're going to talk a lot about resources that are available if you've been victimized, or if and I have a friend of mine that says she's not a victim even though her house burnt down in 2007. She's a survivor and a thriver. Mindset. Now, we're going to talk about a lot of the different resources that are available to maybe help you out and maybe protect you a little as a consumer advocate. Protection is probably just as important as some of the other things that are going on. We might also, if I get time, we might talk about the buyer bright spot, more homes on the market, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage Connection.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, the Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us the APR, the points paid or points received. They simply tell us what the rate's locked at across their 35%. If you don't know what do you do with that rate lock? Well, put it in your mobile app, put it in your mortgage calculator. And if you don't have a mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Rates yesterday, conventional 30-year fixed up 6.845, jumbo 30-year fixed down 6.966, FHA 30-year fixed up 6.507, VA 30-year fixed up 6.376, and the USDA 30-year fixed down 6.50. If you want our market commentary as early as the data allows, it's free to you, rsrlinks.com/market minute. Let's see what the markets are doing today. Let's take a look. First off, as we always do, we will look at the S&P 500 now is up 39.7. 10-year treasuries down 1 basis point. Mortgage-backed securities are up 11 basis points. Remember, when the bond goes up, the rates go down. 11 basis points, not a huge move, but we'll see what that does for the markets and what's driving it. And everything's kind of on hold right now. It's not a whole lot of data until the end of the week, and that's going to be the biggie. So right now we're looking at, yesterday we all dealt with tariffs, and again, not a whole lot of news there. Mexico established 2 high-level working groups, one for security and the other for trade, and deployed 10,000 members of the National Guard to the border. Canada said it would station 10,000 frontline personnel at their border and appointed a fentanyl czar. We did get the JOLTS report today, the job opening and labor turnover report. Showed the job openings fell sharply from an upwardly revised 8.156 million to 7.6 million, which is much lower than the estimates of 8 million. Job openings are down 15% from last year and have been trending much lower. Looking at the sectors, professional and business services shed 225,000 openings. Private education and health services lost 194,000. Healthcare and social assistance declined 180,000. Strongest sector was leisure and hospitality, which added 67,000. Quits rate remained at 2%, just above the lowest level since 2015, when we take out the COVID years. This shows weakness in the labor market, as a lower quit rate means people are less confident about getting a new job. Hiring rate remained at 3.4%, which is close to the lowest level since 2013. Again, removing the COVID numbers. The vacancy to unemployment ratio, which the Fed looks at for the health of the labor market and compares the job openings to the number of unemployed, is at 1.1. Big decline from the peak above 2%, and shows the labor market is cooling. And we've been telling you that over and over again. We know that the BLS report is nothing more than the BS report, but that's what drives the market, and it'll be coming out on Friday. Although this week, we actually get the QCEW report, which tells us how much BS the BLS has been giving us. So that's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. So let's get into our subject matter today. Always got to do this. We love it when we bring in friends from USC. John Thompson is with us. He is a liability advisor and a great friend. And one of the things I love about John, he's always willing to help. And the nice thing is, it's fun when you're in an industry like I'm in, because I'm in radio and I deal in a world of abundance. And what I mean by abundance is there's no way that I can help everybody. Our team can't help everybody in the mortgage world. And I like helping people. And John's got the same mentality. He's helped me many, many times. We're in the same industry. We both make a living in the mortgage world, but we also both make a life in helping people. Welcome, John. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Great to be here again, Ron. And love your first little segment there. I love your energy, and it's great. I can't keep up, but we'll try.
I'm sure you can. So your practice is right in the heart of where all of the turmoil is in California, right?
Yeah. So my primary market is the San Gabriel Valley, Pasadena, and Altadena, and I also worked in the Palisades for about 6 years, several years ago. So we had a lot of clients and friends and business partners that lost their homes, were impacted by the fires in many different ways. It's devastating. But at the same time, as you point out, there is abundance, and the human spirit comes through very quickly. And we realized that the things we could do for people had to be around sort of getting resources. We couldn't just be inactive. We had to start doing something very quickly. And so we started putting together resources from every place we could find and just sharing what we had out there.
And you've put that on your website, so it's free to everybody to get a hold of.
Yep.
And Josh, you've got that link on here, don't you, for us, for John's site? And let's just talk about some of this resources that you found, John, because one of the things that I love the fact that our governor has talked to every mortgage company or servicing company and taken credit for something that you and I know was out there long before the governor even got on TV, right?
Absolutely. But that's okay. It's the way of the world, the way of California.
Yeah, we don't care. I mean, as long as people get the information, right? And the bottom line is you have to take action on the mortgage side, right? I mean, you're still responsible for your mortgage, but there's resources, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the initial questions people had were, do I have to keep paying my mortgage? Right. And it's by now people probably realize, of course, you have to keep paying your mortgage. The loan was not made to the land. It was not made to the house. It was made to you. Right. So you borrowed the money. You still owe the money. But lenders they're going to work through forbearances. Right. You have to communicate. Like anything else that has to do with finance, communication is important. So we just told people, look, you got to communicate quickly. If you've had a loss and you can't afford to make payments and you're in a cash flow challenge now, the lender's going to work with you, and that's what they do, and so forth. So so if people should be reaching out to their lender if they've not already, or friends, call your lender and start working through it all.
Lenders don't want property, do they? They don't want the property back.
Very common, right? People always think, oh no, the lender wants to take back my. The lenders, they're not in the business of selling homes. Real estate professionals sell homes, not banks and mortgage companies. We don't want them.
Yeah, and if we can help somebody out, I mean, the key there is don't put your head in the sand.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that there's a lot of people right now that are suffering.
Yeah.
And they're looking out there and they're saying, I watched and I'm gonna throw out there, because I've talked about this. We did a program early on, and I shared that a very dear friend of mine lost their house, because we're friends with the couple. They lost their house in the Canyon fire. That was 2007. And she's done a lot of things to help people now since then, because she didn't want to be a victim. She made a mission to go out and try and help people. We think that, send some clothes, right? A lot of these folks don't even know where they're going to get a toothbrush.
Yeah, exactly.
So, once you start getting things under control, the idea of helping somebody is, help them with that toothbrush, get them a gift card to Target, or Costco, because, if you're one of those people that woke up in the middle of the night, you may not even have a wallet.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those are
my sister wrote a story. She's a writer, and she writes for Eater online, and she had 22 minutes. Her house did survive, but she had 22 minutes to get out from neighbor's knock until she was out the door. And so the story is about the things that she remembered to take, and it's not the things you would think. Right? People, you don't need a lot of stuff, right? And that whole story was about stuff and things like that. So, but you're in a panic, and you might only have 10, 15, 20 minutes to get out of your house. So being prepared and thinking about those things are important is also really critical. Yeah.
So the idea there is, as somebody that wasn't involved, you and I, thankfully we were not there. But we can go out and we can give our knowledge, because one of the things that you and I both do is we talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. We work with a lot of families that were out there. We also know, and we both, well, you've got gray hair, I've got no hair. We've been around, and we know that there's going to be some scammers out there, and we want to make sure that people are talking to a professional. If somebody's offering you something, crazy number for your house, call John, call me.
Yeah.
Right. We've got
there's already been, multiple stories of, price gouging and stuff like that. There was already, the Department of Justice went after a couple of realtors in our local marketplace that were renting homes for like $10,000 or $12,000 a month when the market value is maybe $4,000 or $5,000. And I just can't believe people would do that. So, but be aware, right? We know there are unscrupulous people out in the world who are looking to take advantage of any kind of thing like this. So use your trusted resources, Ron, myself, people around you, your advisors. So anyways, good stuff out there.
I think there's a special place for people like that.
Yeah.
But I'm also a big believer in karma. Right? If you're out doing that kind of stuff to somebody who's suffering, that karma is an issue that, I think it's gonna be a case that really happens. So John and I are going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about the Department of Insurance, some tips there. There's claimant areas, FEMA, SBA. We've got all kinds of executive orders, property taxes. There's so much in the world of finance. And I know once you're safe, once you're away from the situation, whether you've lost your property or not, but once you've got your health, then you can start worrying about some of these other things that John and I are going to talk about. We can't help your health, but maybe we can give you some guidance on attorneys and financial planners and taxes and liabilities and things like that. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to continue that conversation. We're going to talk about, is it a good time maybe to buy a house? Might seem kind of superficial, so we might even skip that. I don't know. We'll talk about it when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So here's what we're going to do, Josh. I'm going to clue you in here also. So I'm going to give you, because it's my show and I can do these things, I'm going to keep our sponsors happy by telling you about them, but we're not going to give their stories today. We'll save those for later. So the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. It is one of the sources you can go to find out property valuation. So if there's one of these shysters out there that are trying to overcharge you, you can go to rsrmoney.com and we can actually help get valuations for properties, see if the numbers that they're talking about make sense. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation with John Thompson this morning. He is a liability advisor with Simple Mortgage. We're chatting about, some of the resources that are available, some of the guidance that John and I have learned over time with regard to some of these natural disasters. We've got and it's a shame because one of the things, I'm going to share this with you. And I've been talking about this for a long time, and I've learned a lot of this. John is a master in an organization that I'm really relatively new with. But, we talk about a lot of folks are real excited, John, about having their house paid off. And sometimes that can be pretty risky, can't it?
It certainly can be. I think about 36 hours after the fires were going, I got a call from one of the financial, advisors we work with. And she said, my client's been working for years. She got her house paid off. And then, of course, she forgot to renew the insurance, right? She didn't pay the premium the next year because she's like, well, I don't have a mortgage anymore. I'm not required to have the insurance, without thinking, unintended consequences are everywhere. So, they want to know if I could help. And I'm like, you're gonna have to call the insurance company and maybe you'll get lucky. So yeah, those kind of things happen. Paying off your house, I realize it feels good, right, for a lot of people, but realizing there's risk to having a significant amount of your wealth tied up in your real estate, when there's still ways to kind of keep it liquid that Ron can share with you and we can chat about. So it does present a risk.
As we get older, one of the big things that a lot of people are so excited about is getting their mortgage paid off, and you focus a lot on the reverse mortgage, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
And that's a way of mitigating some of the risks, so you don't have all your. If somebody said, I think I've got my entire 401k, my IRA, my liquid assets, and I want to go put them all in Bitcoin. But we'd probably try and share the idea that Bitcoin may or may not be good, and it may or may not be a great investment, but being over exposed to one item causes risk.
Yeah, all the eggs in one basket, right? The old story of having all eggs. So the reality is, as Ron mentioned, even if you want to have a paid off home or somehow you've got the balance really down low and so forth, we would always recommend creating some kind of tool to have access to that home equity if and when there's opportunities, there's risk, and it could be home equity line of credit. It could be a reverse mortgage HECM with a line of credit. It could be the all-in-one tool, a mortgage that's out there. So lots of different ways to access equity, maybe without incurring the full payment, but just having access to it for emergencies, right? If you had $1 million in the bank, that makes you feel good, but the reality is you might have $1 million in your house and have no way of getting to it, right? So the fact that houses are not liquid is what presents a risk for people when things like disasters happen, right? That's the challenge, right? We had 3 clients that were in the middle of a reverse mortgage. All 3 were in the middle of it. All 3 lost their homes, one in the Palisades, 2 in Altadena. So they went from about to eliminate a payment to be able to stay in their home for the rest of their life without a payment and improve their cash flow, to being both homeless and continuing to make a mortgage payment. So you feel really badly for those people, and hopefully insurance will settle and so forth, but we don't know the outcomes yet.
Absolutely. The one thing we do know is, contact John, contact me, and at least get a consultation sooner rather than later.
Yep.
So John, you've seen some things out there. We talked you mentioned a little bit about price gouging.
Yeah.
And I noticed on your site, and Josh, put that link back on there again, if you would. You've got an article on there about price gouging as well. Not only is it illegal, but there are some resources out there, and the governor's put out some orders as well, right?
Yeah, he did. He put out an executive order, saying that it's, you cannot price gouge, right? Here are the rules. They did allow for a slight increase, maybe I think it was 10% to sort of the market value of rent and real estate and so forth. But also there's a link there where you can report it. If you feel like there's some price gouging going on, you've heard about stuff, you can report it right there. There's a link, and it's the Office of the Attorney General's office, and find it on that same link.
Beautiful. And I'm going to take and put a lot of John's resources right there on our rsrlinks.com/fire.
Please do.
Yeah. So, and John and I share all this stuff before, well before we even plan on doing a radio show on it.
Yeah,
we share resources because we're both out there just looking to help people.
The other thing I'll just mention real quick, Ron, on property taxes, you're probably going to touch on this anyway, but the reality is that, people who've been affected by the fires in LA County and Ventura County are going to have a property tax essentially deferral. So they'll be able to avoid, making their full property tax payment. They'll get pushed off for a while. So that's going to help people with cash flow and some things like that. So you may have heard of that, but it's pretty simple. Go Google it for your county tax assessor's office, and you can get the forms to do that. So start that now. Why not? Even if you're in LA County and you feel like there might be some cash flow issues coming up, you're eligible to take advantage of it. So.
Well, we're looking at some of the articles that are coming out and some of the actions from the city council. People are going to have to help. Families are going to have to help their family, or should. I mean, that's my personal preferences, my values. So there could be some hardship, even if you're, like John says, if you're not affected directly. You might be helping your family get into a hotel, get into a dealing with insurance, bringing more people into your house, more expenses. The SBA has put out a document, the SBA disaster recovery. Again, a link on John's site, on our site. You can get that information. John, I don't know, I didn't see this, but and I don't know whether you did or not. I know on your site you had a panel. You reference a panel of attorneys, Han and Han.
Yeah, I got to put that. I just noticed that I haven't put up the recording yet. So the insurance is really an interesting subject. I've learned a lot about it just in the last couple of weeks. So Han and Han's a pretty well-known estate planning attorney, firm in the Pasadena area. So they had a panel discussion with multiple insurance attorneys, right? And I'll put the recording back up there, hopefully later on today. But in any case, the couple of takeaways that I'm going to want to share with you and with the audience, the insurance companies, are going to play fair with most people. I think that we as consumers tend to think the insurance companies are going to take advantage of us. They really don't want to pay. And that's not the case. If you had protection and all those kind of things, the reality is let the insurance company do what they're going to do. They have to follow guidelines. They have to give you an offer within 30 days, I believe it is. They have to get an adjuster out there very quickly. And then if you feel like you're not being treated fairly, that's when you go to the next step, right? Because lawsuits already happening, mass lawsuits, different things like that, mass action, they call it, are already happening. There's been attorneys out just, literally sitting in the lobbies of hotels, signing people up for these lawsuits. So I don't like to hear that at all, right? So just kind of work with your insurance company and then see what happens from there. And if you do need an attorney, then great. That's when you get an attorney. At least that's my thought.
Yeah, and that's great information. And one of the things is I'm going to recommend to you is before you settle it all with the insurance company, as much as you can, read your contract.
Yep.
Right? Because your contract is going to say that you've got an allowance in there for a certain amount of dollars for additional living expenses. And that could be, they're not going to pay, they're going to look at, and I was displaced from floods in my house a couple of times. So I learned the hard way. They're going to look and say, okay, what did you normally spend for meals each day? What's the difference between what you would normally spend and what you're spending now? Because you're eating out, you don't have a kitchen anymore.
Yeah.
Right? There are additional living expenses. So you've got a limit. So you can go and get a hotel room or a house that's similar to what you had, if you can find it. But I mean, again, those are all parts of your contract. Read it so you know what you're entitled to. So love that one. I see that we've got the property taxes you mentioned on there, and I also saw there's a pretty good. I think there was a Zoom on there that I think the replay is now available from one of the insurance. I think it was United Policy. I think you had on there.
So United Policyholders, it was not a Zoom call, but I'm glad you brought that up because I had never known about that site before. That was recommended through this panel of attorneys, insurance attorneys. So that tool is designed by essentially to help all consumers. It was really, really comprehensive, Ron. And so I encourage people. It's called uphelp.org. uphelp.org. And again, it's on our site. It'll be on Ron's site. But and one of the key things, another thing I learned was inventory, right? So people are kind of panicked about inventory, like, oh, do I need to make an inventory? I need every room. It's heartbreaking to say, I'd sit down with your family and go, okay, what was in your room? What was in the kitchen? What was in the living room? What was it? Those things are going to be really difficult for people to work their way through. So first off, the insurance company said, if you have contents insurance and the policy limits are, well in excess of what you think all your stuff is worth, you don't need to do an inventory. It's only when your limits are underinsured, which is unfortunately probably a lot of people. But there's a tool on there where it'll actually help suggest things and what the approximate values are. An Excel spreadsheet, download it. It'll walk you room by room, and it'll already tell you kind of things you might have had in your den or in your kitchen, and then help you kind of fill it out. So anyway, I never saw that. It was a wonderful tool that I saw in there too. UP Household Inventory Tool, if you need to do it.
And that's a great tool. And I'm going to recommend, we actually talked about this either yesterday or last week, I think. We did a segment on, having this, everybody should have this done. Go and walk through your house and take a video of your entire house, room by room, narrate it. If you've got some things that are abnormal, you might want to put down serial numbers, make, model, and have that not in your house, because if there's a disaster, you don't want that to go as well. And we put on there, Dropbox and Google Drive, and there's several others, iCloud, whatever you use. But we're going to put that on the site as well, rsrlinks.com/fire. We'll put a link to the replay of the segment we did there. And don't think that I'm so smart. I'm really good at talking to other people and adopting. So this actually came from an insurance company that said, hey, something, these are 4 steps you need to do. We're going to continue our conversation with John Thompson. We're talking about resources that, you can do after the fact, and maybe some ideas that you might want to take proactively, because yes, we know what happened in Palisades. We know what happened at the Eaton fire, but did you think about what's going on right now in Laguna Beach? Or 6 months ago in Rancho Palos Verdes, when those houses started sliding? Don't just think it's going to happen to somebody else. We hope it doesn't happen to them, and hope it doesn't happen to you. Hope is not a plan. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, This 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com. Again, I'm not going to give you a whole story. I'm just going to tell you the headline. $6,600 a month saved, about $800,000 in interest saved. And no, it wasn't a multi-gazillion dollars. It was a $1.2 million loan that was restructured with the Home Select. Oh yeah, and they got $1.25 million in liquidity at closing. Think about that concept. If you don't know about it, you should. rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. Continuing our conversation, John Thompson is with us. We're going through some items. If you were affected by the wildfires, we're sorry for that. We know that it's a long road ahead. And I'm going to tell you right here, right now, that, again, I only can reference my friends who had their house destroyed in a wildfire. This is not a short process. Don't think it's you're going to be rebuilt overnight. I know I listened to the president's press conference with the mayor. It's a long process, and gear up for it. And, one of the things that I'm going to throw out there, and I know I don't have it in my documentation. John, I don't know if you have it in yours either, but you might be wanting to look at some counseling, right? Because one of the toughest things I've heard of over my entire career in the mortgage world and in the financial services. And I did the first loan I helped somebody with was in 1983. Josh, don't laugh. I know you weren't around then. But, building a house is very, very taxing on a relationship. Now, counseling might be something that you want to go and explore and talk to somebody. I'm sure there's resources out. John, have you heard of any resources for that?
I have interest. I don't have any directly on our site, other than I know that United Policyholder site does have, some resources around mental care and self-care, because I agree with you. It's going to be really tough for these people. And we out here who were not affected directly are going to slowly, it's going to seep out of our brains. We're going to forget about it over time, but those people are going to live through it for years and years and years. So they probably will need some counseling, and so it's kind of help. But also, our jobs as professionals, continue to check in with your friends and partners, because they're going to need your help probably for years to come, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's really, really sound advice. So one of the other things I saw on your site, I see the checklist. You've got that on there. Starting a claim, that's a great one. Get on it quickly.
Yeah. Another question, hey, Ron, another question that has come up quite a bit is this question of adjusters, right? Private versus public adjusters. And have you heard these terms, the public adjuster terms? I'm assuming you have. Yep. So for people that don't know, the adjuster that comes out from your insurance company, State Farm or whoever it is, right? That's the adjuster that works for the insurance company. They're the ones that put together the numbers that says, we're going to pay your claim based on all this data and information. And that's fine. Allow them to do their work. But there's outside third-party companies called public adjusters. And these folks, for a percentage or for a fee, will also run the numbers for you. And of course, their effort is to, they get a piece of it, right? So they're working towards a number they think may be different than the insurance companies. Again, advice from the insurance, attorneys, allow the company to do their internal adjustment and adjusting. And then if you, again, feel like it's not fair at that point, that's when you turn to a public adjuster. You don't need them early in the process because you don't want them to get a percentage of the policy limit you already have coming to you, right? You only want their help if you want to go above the policy limit because they think you were shorted in some area, right? So those are public adjusters. Some work on percentage and some work on a fee base. I have a couple of them that we know in our area as well. So,
Yeah, and one of the things that to tag on with that, just from my own experience, unfortunately, is you can get a public adjuster. There's three different types. You've got the insurance company adjuster, you've got an independent adjuster, who generally the insurance companies hire because they don't have enough adjusters for everything that's going on right now. And then you've got the public adjuster who will work for you. And like John said, they'll work on a percentage. A lot of them will do, like when I was going through it, it was 10% from $1, or you can go 30% of additional dollars. So once you find out what John just said, you get their number, and they come back and they say you're entitled to X. They get 30% of X plus minus whatever they came up with. But a lot of times they know the policies a lot better than we do.
Yep.
So there may be a good resource in there. So great advice, John. Yeah, make sure that you're hear what they have. They're going to want their person anyway.
Sure.
So make sure that you're looking into those things. And again, if you're not feeling comfortable, there's all kinds of resources. John, talk about some of the extra links that you've come up with, Commissioner, and I see a one sheet that you've got. Talk about some of those.
Yeah, so I reach out to some of our partners, and I love how you keep saying that people need to have professionals in their corner. I agree wholeheartedly, right? So we've put, a wildfire insurance, cheat sheet from one of our partners, our insurance partners, right? And so there's a whole list of things you can think through and work through. And this is for someone, who's not experienced a disaster, but just is wants to make sure they're covering all their bases. I think that's a wonderful one. Another interesting thing that I learned this way was what's called a 1033 exchange. So a 1033 exchange makes investors who might have lost homes in a disaster, they're eligible for an exchange of property and the tax benefits, much like what's called a 1031 exchange, which is where you exchange an appreciated piece of real estate. Because I know we have investors on your show, Ron, and that kind of stuff. So the 1031 exchange allows you to exchange one piece of real estate for another without paying the tax today. You just defer the tax to later on. The 1033 allows it to happen for a home that's been destroyed in a disaster. So you can go and replace that piece of real estate and not pay the tax that's due today, right? It'll be deferred just like a 1031 exchange. So there's a whole article on that as well, which I found fascinating because I never knew about it till this happened, right?
Well, I can tell you I've known about it for a whole long, I think it's about 40 seconds now.
1033, so that was an interesting one.
Yeah, so that's great information. If you go to John's site, you've also got a link there to quite a few different banks because you may or may not have your mortgage statement right now. That's gonna help again. Information on there, and again, we're gonna kind of marry a lot of data together. So John's site, my site, and I'm gonna make a thought here, John. I don't think tell me if I'm sure you'll agree with me. If you've got questions, call us. Call either one of us because neither John. I think you mentioned you've never been through a disaster like this personally,
no, not directly.
But I know that John does have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of people that he can reach out to. So just like me, if I don't know something, I'm not afraid to say I don't know it. But my guess is that which I don't know, I know somebody who does know. And I'm more than happy. I know John's shaking his head. He's more than happy to help, right? That's the world. And again, I go back to what we were talking about when it came to these price gougers. Same concept. It's karma. We don't need to be compensated for everything we do because what goes around comes around. And I hope that John, I hope that myself, we never experience this, but we certainly do want to have the to know that something we're out there helping people and willing to help in any possible way. Our resources are opened. I'll date myself again. Our Rolodex is opened. I know a lot of people don't know what a Rolodex is, but
well, my first loan was in 1989, Ron, so I'm not far behind you. So there you go.
Yeah, so so we've been doing it a long time, right? So we know a lot of people, and we're more than happy to help. And as we find more resources, I know that John's doing this because I've got his site up on my screen. So as he finds new resources, he's putting things on there that are new updates.
Yeah.
I'm putting new updates on ours as well. So go either place. Go to John's, which Josh is going to put on the screen, and because it's not as easy for me to remember. But it's simplemortgage.com/fire-disaster-resources. Or you can go to rsrlinks.com/fire. Either one, you're going to get all kinds of resources. And if I don't have something, I'm happy to call John, vice versa. And we want you to, our prayer is that this process can be as smooth as possible, knowing that there's a rocky road ahead.
Yeah.
And we're here to help. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, see help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Workday passes like